Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Telekotur R. David. One of the reasons why I wanted to speak to you, the American people around the globe and in India, is how things went wrong in the year 1981 when President Reagan took office. President Reagan is a well-spoken president who can convince anybody. I even voted for him at that time. That's the first time I voted in my whole life. Although I was born and brought up here, left Canada at the age of 17, went to work in Mumbai and later on in Delhi. That's my long story. But what I'm coming to here is, while working in USA as a legal analyst for AT&T, in 1981 I was summarily dismissed without a cause after AT&T gave me a merit increase of $5,000 on Monday. I'm being fired on Friday. I have now discovered a lot of stuff. At that time, Raymond J. Donovan was the Secretary of Labor. Raymond J. Donovan. He held his office from 1981 through 85. He was found guilty because he was having deals with the mafia families called Genovese. And he was doing hanky-panky with AT&T so that they can bend the rules. Donovan knew how to manipulate things. He instructed his Department of Labor, not to take any action against AT&T because he was having good deals under the table. Also, Donovan had contributed $600,000 to President Reagan's election coffers. So it is easy for him to have influence on the President Reagan, and with the blessing they changed the rules, the name of the game. The law was passed by the Congress, US Congress, from much earlier, 19th century, and each passage of time, each president, Republican or Democrats, have added more benefits to the employees' pension plans. This crook, Donovan, Raymond Donovan, he instructed his people, you will see how to bend the rules. The rules were bent so many times to give preference to AT&T so that they can, when there is a violation of the law, such as OSHA, Occupational Safety Regulations, and also ERISA, Employees Retirement Income Security Act, they can twist the rules, which was passed by the Congress and assented by the President of the day. There were so many violations. One, the OFCCP, which is an agency created to check whether federal contractors like AT&T is violating the law. So Mr. Donovan told these people, take it easy. You understand? I was fired in 1981 without a cause. You got to have a cause to fire an employee who works for a major corporation with over 1 million employees. Okay, they have more now because they merged with 10 or more other corporations. I am not going into that now. So I was the only person of Indian origin and a person from Kerala in their legal department, the monopolies division. My title was legal analyst, or they call sometimes document processing specialist. I was also perhaps one of the persons who studied law. Others were technical people who may be either a pole climber or a whatever their job, a switchboard operator, they were promoted. So they were dumped in the monopolies division to get rid of them eventually without paying them the benefits. But unfortunately, AT&T picked me alone. There is a reason for picking me alone. When I was working for one of its subsidiaries, known as Michigan Bell Telephone Company, I ran into a gender discrimination claim, which was investigated, and the EEOC found the employer guilty of gender discrimination, ordered them to pay me compensation. After that, they started retaliating. So I reported again to the EEOC, second time. Before they started the investigation, they promoted me and sent me to work for AT&T. Now, they have everything in the system. My records, my employment records, starting from 1974, okay? I was fired. I went to the EEOC, that is the only agency known to us at that time, to millions of workers. When the Congress passes law, they don't tell everybody what the law is, what is the intended purpose. So, like anybody else, unknown to the OFCCP, IRS, and other regulations, I was forced to file a complaint with the EEOC, who refused to investigate. The law requires them to investigate when there is a firing, an allegation of prior discrimination. So under the scheme devised by Mr. Donovan with AT&T, they looked the other way around. They kept me through the Kangaroo Court system. How they accomplished the mission was, AT&T has schemes at each and every court in the United States. They have what is called insiders. What the insiders do is have the case assigned to certain judges of their choice. So the outcome is clear. Once your buddy gets it, he concocts a story, so the case is eventually thrown out without a hearing and a trial. As had happened in my case, 40 years. The Supreme Court of the United States on October 2, 2017 granted me permission to file a writ of mandamus against two such corrupt judges. One of them was in Tampa. The judge's name was Hodges, Terrell William Hodges. He is somewhere there, still alive, I understand. The other one was a judge at the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, and the case was denied despite the fact the Supreme Court ordered me to file the papers, and the clerk of the court won't accept it. That's the name of the game going on in the United States of America. I have written so many articles, starting with David vs. AT&T, Part 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and Part 13 in local vernacular called Malayalam, so that the Indian people can understand how the American system functions. It was not my intent to attack anybody, but to show to you ladies and gentlemen, how the U.S. Department of Justice functioned, how the Department of Labor functioned. When I asked the U.S. Department of Justice to investigate, they alleged they don't have jurisdiction. Here you people, the U.S. Department of Justice, in an unsigned letter, they have no jurisdiction. I wrote to them second time, they said they can't do anything. The U.S. Department of Justice is corrupted, as you will see, as well as the Department of Labor then. So what happened was, AT&T walked away scot-free. My investigation showed the people in Michigan, they laid off or got rid of a lot of employees during that same time frame, 81, 82, without paying them their pension or benefits. But according to a ruling made by Philip Pratt, they were given those benefits. The only person who was not paid the benefits was me, David. There is no rational basis for denying me alone the various benefits as per the agreement. So this super crook, Raymond J. Donovan, was instrumental in using AT&T not to do that. I also got some research material from the Wikipedia, and this is a Wikipedia which says, in a highly publicized case, Donovan and 6 other defendants were indicted by a Bronx County, New York grand jury for larceny and fraud in connection with missing AT&T. They took the name off. Then somebody put a remark, must include AT&T. The reason is AT&T doesn't want to come in the limelight. Okay? So somebody tried to take them off, and the notation says must include AT&T. You will see that close up. Okay? Folks, the reason why I'm getting so mad is I am entitled to my pension, to which I had contributed both as a management and a non-management employee. I was a member of the AFL-CIO or the other agencies called Communication Workers of America. We had a management, I believe, union, which I didn't know at that time. But most of these people were paid their benefits. Why AT&T doesn't want to pay me was, I brought to the attention of the civilized world how they operate. AT&T had most powerful law firms. One of them was in New York, one of them was in Florida. And they cost an attorney in 2006 to file a false affidavit. The affidavit stated, I quit the job You can see my children, my wife, at the time in 1981. Okay? Do you think in your right mind somebody with a small children quit this job and sit at home? AT&T tried their best to prove. They sent one of their undercover agents to kill me by the name James R. Williams. When my children and wife and their father heard the commotion, they all came to the scene, so he ran away. Okay, I don't know whether that guy is still alive. I have no idea. Most of them must have been dead. What I am saying to you folks is, I was denied my 40 years of pension, my vested pension, which under the law I am entitled to get 100%. So, AT&T doesn't want to pay it under the pretext, A, I quit the job, which they couldn't prove in a court of law for 40 years. Then their next argument was, they don't have my employment records. Folks, you got to understand, in order for somebody to be employed in the United States, you should have what is called a social security number. Out of the millions of employees, AT&T only couldn't locate my file only. You understand? They couldn't locate my file. So this attorney, he submitted a false affidavit. His name is Brian Wayne Tilker. When I read his affidavit, and based on his affidavit, this woman, Judge Seibert, at the Eastern District of New York, granted what is called a summary judgment. Summary judgment means they don't have hearing or trial. You submit some papers, false, and she being a part of the team, she grants a judgment, citing Tilker's affidavit at least at 12 places in her impugned order and judgment. Hi guys, when I started investigation about this Tilker, I never met him. I got information from the New York bar and from other sources which showed he was born on May 5, 1979. I was forced to sign a release in 1981 under duress, coercion, and through fraud. So when Tilker submitted an affidavit, he was only 2 years old. 2 years. You understand? Which he says, Mr. David resigned, he quit the job, which they couldn't prove 40 years. So this judge, I don't want to call her names because words are inadequate to express my anger and frustration about her ruling. I brought to her attention, Tilker was only 2 years old. She says he only made one lie. So she can use the rest of his affidavit. She grants a summary judgment, denying me my pension. You got to understand, folks, pension is vested. They can't take away pursuant to the plans. We have a summary description plan or 401k plans. You put money into this lot. Seibert says, Tilker's affidavit is good. She denies me pension. Folks, why I am crying is today, there was a deal with this crooked Secretary of Labor, Donovan, and AT&T. So they were let go. You understand? Folks, civilized people should rise. I'm not telling you to do stupid things. Those who were denied their pension, I do not know how many of them are there. People didn't know the existence of the OFCCP Executive Order 11246 and other orders. So Donovan permitted his people not to enforce the laws. Folks, that's why I'm here today, to expose corruption in the courts. And when the Supreme Court of the United States granted me permission to file a writ of mandamus, the clerk of the court won't accept it. You understand, folks? The tail is wagging the dog. The Supreme Court's orders were ignored by the chief clerk, Scott S. Harris. I reported him to the DC bar. They tried to cover up. The duties of the clerk of the court is well defined under Rule 1 of the Supreme Court rules. He cannot reject my petition under any circumstances. So they don't want the Supreme Court to hear my case, understand the situation. If they don't submit to the court, court won't hear it. Unlike in other countries, including India, where we have 34 justices in the Supreme Court, in American Supreme Court we have only 9. You understand? And granting a writ of certiorari or a mandamus is a discretion. This is stated in Rule 10 of the US Supreme Court rules. So it means whatever decision is made by the Kangaroo courts below cannot go to the US Supreme Court because they have a limitation. They only hear between 80 to 100 cases in a given year. US Supreme Court gets more than 10,000. This year it may be much more because of the Trump's litigation. So my grievance, folks, is I was denied my pension, and I am sure Biden administration will look into it. The proffered reason given by Eugene Scalia who is the Secretary of Labor, who resigned recently, is I did not file a timely complaint. How you file a complaint with another agency when the EEOC refused to investigate and nobody knew about the existence of the OFCCP? Folks, if you are one of those who was denied the benefits by AT&T anywhere, everywhere in the world, you should file your claim now, although it may be time barred. Vested pension cannot be forfeited simply because of technicalities. So I request all of you to share this message, pass on to your friends and friends and friends, so the whole world will know what is going on with a major corporation which is operating in India also at this time. I was denied nearly $10 million by way of my lost income, my benefits, ERISA benefits, violation of my ADEA claims, violation of my Title VII. There are so many things, and also the breaches. So please rise to the occasion. Share it with your friends. Give me a thumbs up, please. My email address is, I'm showing on the screen, it is T.R. David. T like Tom, R like Robert, David, 2009 @gmail.com. I cannot take individual cases, but you can send your comments and your thumbs up, please. Thanks.